Today we're going to learn how to multiply matrices. Alright, I want to take a look at this. I want you guys to think about this. So over here, in this area, is what I want to focus on right now. This area right here. What I have up here are some matrices, A and B. Okay? So A is like the name of the matrix. And then these numbers down here are the dimensions. And remember, when you get the dimensions, it's always row by columns. Okay? So take a minute and pause the video. Take a look at this. See if you can figure out the pattern. When can you multiply two matrices together? When can you not? Well, if you look at it, hopefully you discover the pattern. If not, that's fine. But those are the two middle numbers here. Here we have a 3 and a 2. And it did not exist. Down here we had a 1 and a 2. It did not exist. But on these other ones where it was possible to do, we had a 3 and a 3. They're the same. A 2 and a 2. They're the same. We were able to multiply them together. A 3 and a 3. We were able to multiply them together. So the rule for multiplying these matrices. You can multiply two matrices A and B if and only if the number of columns in A is equal to the number of rows in B. Okay? So if you got two matrices, A and B, and you want to multiply them together to get AB, what has to be true is the number of columns in A has to match the number of rows in B. So these have to be the same number. And also, if you notice the pattern above, this number here and this number together form the dimensions of the answer. This will be the dimensions of AB if these matches, if these are the same. So the dimensions of AB would be a M by T matrix. So this is really important that you know this rule. Right, we're going to practice it now. We're going to see how can you multiply two matrices together. Right, so it says find x, y. It says x is equal to that matrix, y is equal to that matrix. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you can multiply these together. So what's the dimensions of x? The dimensions of x is a 2 by 2. Okay. What's the dimensions of y? It's also a 2 by 2. So what I like to do is I like to line them up like this. And then I want to see if the two in the middle match. If they match, you can multiply them together. And they do. Also, lining them up like that also gives you the dimensions of the answer. So the answer that I get should be a 2 by 2 matrix. Okay? So I can do this. Alright, so let me show you the process that I want you to use. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your first matrix that you're multiplying by first, because the order does matter. With matrices, when you multiply row numbers, 2 times 5 is the same as 5 times 2, but it's not true with matrices. Matrices, doesn't follow the commutative property. All right, so you're going to put your first one down here. And then I want you to write the second one diagonal from it. So up here, -5, -4, 3, and 3. And then what I find helpful to do is this. I'm going to draw dividing lines in between my rows of my first matrix. And then I'm going to draw dividing lines in between the columns of my second matrix. Then what we have right here, this matrix, this is going to be my product. This is going to be my answer. All right, so here's how you multiply matrices. You take your first row of your first matrix, and you multiply it by this first column of your second matrix. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the first element here times the first element here. 6 multiplied by -5 is -30. And then I'm going to add that to the second element in my row times the second element in the column. So I'm going to take -3 times 3, which is -9. Add these together, and we have our answer, -39. Okay? And I'm going to just do this, I'm going to keep doing this pattern here. So now, I'm going to find this element. Well, this element is located in this row here, but it's in this column. So I'm just going to slide my arrow over here. So I'm going to take the first element here times the first element in that column. 6 times -4, -24, plus -3 times 3 is -9. I'm going to add these together. -24 plus -9, -33. Okay? Now, let's find this element. Well, where is that element located? I'm going to have to use this row, and I'm going to have to use this column. So I'm going to take the first element here times the first element in this column. So -10 times -5, +50. Now I'm going to add the second element times the second element. -2 times 3, -6. 50 plus -6 is 44. And then last, we want to find this element. So to find that element, I'm going to have to use this row, and then I'm going to have to use this column. So the first element here times the first element there. -10 times -4 is going to be +40. Plus -2 times 3 is -6. 40 plus -6 is 34. So here's my answer. Okay? Questions on that? If you have any, just email me, or remember I do hold the Zoom meetings. You can attend one of those. I'm going to do some more examples though. This one is basically the same one I just did, so I'm going to skip over this one. Let's look at this one. It says find AB. I want to know if I can find AB. So the first thing I do is I got to figure out what's the dimensions of A. Remember, the dimensions is always row by columns. So how many rows does A have? 3. How many columns? 2. So A is a 3 by 2. Well, what's B? It's a 2 by 2. So B a 2 by 2. Can I multiply A times B? Do the 2 in the middle match? Yes, I can multiply them together. What's AB going to be? What's the dimensions of AB? Well, it's going to be a 3 by 2. So I can multiply together, and AB would be a 3 by 2. All right, so let's do it. So again, here's your process. You're going to take your first one, A. You're always going to write it down here in this corner here. 1, negative 2, negative 3, 0, 4, and 1. And then I want to put my second matrix up here, and I'm multiplying by 7, 9, negative 5, and 1. And now I'm going to draw my dividing lines in. So I'm going to go in between the rows of my first matrix. Okay? And then in between the columns of my second matrix. And what we have here is going to be my answer. And remember, my answer was 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, 2 columns, 1, 2. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to take our elements in our first row here times the elements in this column here. So 1 times 7 is 7, plus negative 2 times 9, negative 18. So that gives us negative 11. Okay, let's find this one out. So I need to use this row, and I need to slide this over. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. Negative 2 times 1, negative 2. Negative 5 plus negative 2, negative 7. Okay? Let's find this element here. So slide this down, slide this over. Negative 3 times 7, negative 21. 0 times 9 is 0. So we get negative 21. Let's find this element. So to find that element, I'm going to use this row, and I need to use this column. So negative 3 times negative 5. Negative 3 times negative 5 is going to be positive 15. 0 times 1 is 0, so we get 15 here. Okay, let's find this one next. So I need to use this row and this column. So 4 times 7, 28. 1 times 9 is 9. 28 plus 9, 37. And then last, let's find this one. So I've got my row. Let's just slide this over. 4 times negative 5, negative 20. 1 times 1 is 1. We get negative 19. So AB is equal to this. This is my answer. So what AB is equal to that matrix. But one more example. Says find BA. Okay? Well, let's see if we can find BA. What's the dimensions of B? It's a 2 by 2. What's the dimensions of A? It's a 3 by 2. Do the 2 terms in the middle match? Nope. Not a match. Not the same. That means you can't do it. So what you do is you just write BA Well, you write, not write DA, write the product does not exist. Can't go, it's not possible. You can't find the product of A, B.